Hello and welcome to EE333. I'm your instructor, Gregory Myers. In this video, we're going to take a look at the beginning of a series of videos focusing around the fundamentals of the Java programming language. And specifically in this video, we're going to take a look at how to write your first Java program. This video assumes, number one, that you have installed a version of NetBeans, whether it's 12 or an older version or a newer version, does not really matter, but that you also have installed and correctly configured a compatible Java JDK such that you can also run Java from the command line. In addition, this video assumes that you have taken a look at P1 instructions, of which I have provided a sample output file for you as well. And you can see that in this output file, essentially what we want to do is we want to print some information about ourselves and the goals for the class, as well as some information about your computer to the command line. And in this case, what I've done is I've simply captured that output in the P1 sample.txt. So if you've not yet done so, you want to obtain a copy of the P1 instructions as well as this P1 sample.txt. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that you want to do is go to File, New Project. You want to select a Java project with Ant and a Java application. You want to go ahead and name the project according to the instructions, which means that the project name itself should be P1. The main class will utilize the EE333 package, and the class itself will be called P1 driver. And at that point, the only thing you need to do is make sure and make note of the path where you are storing these projects at. In this case, we'll go ahead and hit finish, and NetBeans will provide for you a templated source file of which you can modify the template. You'll find it in your EE333 package under p1driver.java, and you can modify, as I said, this license header. What we are going to be doing, and we're going to elaborate on this later on, is we're going to be utilizing the Java doc. And so if you want to, you can go ahead and look at the instructions on Wikipedia, or description rather, on Wikipedia, and you can see some of the standards associated with the Java doc. So at the very least, what you can do is you can catalog your author, the version, and so on. We'll focus on that, as I said, in a later video. For right now, at the very least, what we can do is simply provide the author information. And in this case, what we'll have is we will simply have a version. And in this case, it's just going to be 1.0. We're just going to do some quick cleanup here. Go ahead and delete the template, or that part of the template from NetBeans. And we're just going to jump straight into how can we accomplish writing something to the command line. So I've split my screen here so that you can see the goal on the right-hand side. And in this case, what we want to do is we want to put a series of print statements in our main so that when we run our P1 driver, which we'll ultimately call main as a self-standing application, that whatever code is in main will run. And so we'll begin with looking at the system.out.println function. And we'll start off just with the information listed on the right. In this case, my name, prefaced with first name, colon, and then a space. You want to take a little bit of care to make sure and follow the pattern that I have in my output file for this first application. Also note that the print line function adds a new line at the end of each line. So there's no reason to include the new line character. It's already handled for you. And you can continue here. You'll notice that as I'm typing it, NetBeans will help you with your functions. In this case, if you type out just system and then dot, it will show all the rest of the functions available in this particular package, as well as the system.out, which refers to the output stream, and then the print line function. And as I said, there's a couple of ways that you can get to this, and also you're going to see there's several overloads that we'll be playing around with as we go through this. But there we go. I've added my last name, and at this point what I can do is I can simply continue with this pattern here, whichever way that you want to go about doing it. At this point, what I like to do is I actually like to do a little bit of copying and pasting just to speed things up. You'll see there, including my Blazor ID, which is the way that you can email me if you've got any questions. And once again, system.out.println, my initials. And we'll use this to track any changes in our code. If, for instance, you've made some modifications in a portion of the project, it's always nice to add your initials there so that later on, if you're working with a group of developers, they know who has made what change. Continuing on here, we'll look at some of the languages. These can be whatever languages that you have used in the past. I'm not talking about necessarily natural languages. In this case, I'm going to focus on C, MATLAB, VB.NET, and of course, Java. Continuing on with this, what are your goals for the class? Well, my goals for the class are that you do well in this class. And so hopefully these videos will help you achieve your goals. And so I'm going to put here for everyone to get an A. That would be fantastic. And then likewise, what are some of your professional goals? And in this case, what you might decide that your professional goals are to get a good job in software development. So under your goals for your professional, get a good software engineering job. Okay, and then continue on. I'm going to leave some of these for you to accomplish. I'd like to know a little bit about the computer that you're using. And that's just simply the manufacturer and the model number here. So if you need any help figuring out what that is, don't hesitate to let me know. I'm going to put this down as TBD, to be determined. And continuing on with that, I would also like that you tell me a little bit about your CPU on your laptop or your desktop. Likewise, this will be TBD for the purposes of this video. And then lastly, I'd like to know how much memory you have on your computer, both the physical amount of memory and then how much is actually being utilized. And so once again, this will be left as TBD for now. So you can always continue to add some more information. All right, at this point, you're ready to go ahead and build your project. If you don't have any typos, you should see build successful. That's always a good start. And then what you want to do is you want to go ahead and open a command window. And you can do that by hitting the Windows key and R and typing in CMD, or just hit Windows and look for the command line. At this point, I am in the root of my directory, and what I want to do is I want to change directory now to my users folder, my G Myers, in this case, my username, and this, I have two usernames on this, two user accounts on this laptop. And then what you want to do is you want to sort of remember where you are in the file system. And for this first video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remind us where we saved our project at. So in this case, there's our P1. And so what you want to do is you want to navigate using the change directory and to this location. In this case, I'm going to be going to Documents, Courses, EE333, Projects, and P1. Now at this point, I'm going to type in dir, and you'll notice that everything that's on the right-hand side is now in the left in the console. So we want to drill in a little bit deeper, and specifically, we want to take a look at the source directory, and you'll see there is an EE333 folder. And if we drill into that folder, you'll see that there is our p1 driver.java. So essentially the package corresponds to a folder in the source folder. And your .java file or your source file then is related to the class name that we set up earlier. If I back out of this directory back to my p1 folder, I want to now go down the build directory. And at that point, you'll see a classes folder. And in the classes folder, you will also see an EE333 folder. And in there will be a p1 driver.class. And this is the compiled Java code ready to be run by the runtime engine. And so you can see that as well over here on the right. I'm going to build classes, EE333, and so on. Now, in order to be able to run this file, particularly when it is in a package, we actually need to back out of the EE333 subfolder. So we're going to back out so that we are in our classes folder. And at this point, what we want to do is we want to verify that we have our Java runtime set up correctly. And then to do that, you simply type in java-version. And in this case, you'll see that I'm using a 1.8 series Java. Whether you're using the 8 series, 14, or 15, doesn't really matter for most of the features that we are going to be utilizing. In this case, I'm using a newer version of 1.8. And as I get an opportunity, I will simply upgrade this as necessary. Now, in order to be able to run our class file, what you want to do then is say Java EE333, which specifies the package, and then dot, and then this is where you're going to have to remember what the class is that has your main. In this case, it's our P1 driver. And if you hit enter, you'll see that all of the code, that all of those printf statements, all the code that we wrote now is printing the contents of, in between those quotes, is being printed then to the command line. And so what we're doing here is essentially just telling a little bit about ourselves via the command line. So it's equivalent of a fancy hello world program. So hopefully you found this video useful. Keep in mind, if you did not get Java-version on the command line, if you did not get a response back here, like what I have, then you've got an issue that you need to go back and either reinstall the Java JDK or make sure to set the path environment variable correctly so that you actually have a java.exe somewhere on your path. Hopefully you found this video useful. As always, if you've got any questions or comments, don't hesitate to email me, and thank you for watching.